everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to make a little card that has a belly band, and I always call this a double front card. I know it's got lots of other names as well. It's just one of those nice fun fold cards. It's not a new card, it's something that's been around a long time. But when you open it, you can see it's got these two little flaps at the front, and I think that's where the double front part comes from. And then you make a quick little belly band to keep it together, and the center of your card has your image and your sentiment on, but the other pieces, you only see the one piece of DSP on that side and the other pieces are on the back. Now you can cut more DSP and have all the pieces filled if you want to, but I just like having those, you know, like the front and the pieces that you see most often covered. So I am going to be using the same paper on this one, but I'm not going to be using the same stamp set. And this paper is actually from the hand-penned designer series paper set. And it's got lots and lots of beautiful paper, and it goes with the hand-penned suites, which are the dies and the stamps. But I didn't buy that set. I did buy the colour and contour set, and I think this flower is so very similar. Look, it matches these flowers perfectly. So if you don't have the hand pen set, you just have the DSP like I did, I'm sure you could find a different stamp set that would match. Now let's put this out of the way and let's make our base card. This time I'm going to make the base in basic white, and I've got the thinner one here. You can use the thicker card, but I find sometimes that when it's folded so many times and you've got designer series paper and another layer of card on, it can get a little bit bulky for mailing. So I'm just going to make this one with the thinner card. And I'm just going to get my bone folder, as I'd forgotten to get that out. Okay, so don't worry about writing sizings down or stopping the video and going back. All the sizings will actually be on my blog. So go over to craftsbythebow.blogspot.com and all the measurements will be there. So we're starting off with a 5.5 by 11 piece of basic white, and I'm going to score. So I've got my paper trimmer because it's got a score on as well. But if you don't have this with the score blade, you can use your scoreboard too. It's just as easy. So my first score on the long side is going to be at 1 1/4. So I'm just going to line it up. Here's the 1 inch mark and then the 1/4 inch after it. And then I'm just going to move the score blade over. I'm going to just slide the paper down to the 5.5 inch mark and score again. And I'm going to slide it further down to the 9 1/4. And that's all the scoring and cutting we have to do for now. So then when you fold this, I always start at the left hand side and I fold this first piece over, so from left to right. Just going to get my bone folder, go down it really well. Okay. And then I'm going to fold the middle one. So I'm taking from the left, I'm going from left to right again. I just find it easier to remember that everything goes left to right. Okay, so that's going to go over there. And then the very bottom one, this piece folds under, just tucks under itself. And that way, when you fold it back again, you see how you get those two folds. And it just makes it so much easier to remember how to cut it and how to score it and how to fold it. Okay, so I've got my paper already pre-cut, and I'm using some of the it's not yellow. I was thinking it was Bumblebee and it isn't. I think it's Daffodil Delight, the yellow in here, and Pale Papaya. So I'm just going to take this narrow strip, which is cut at, let me think, the left hand side one is just 1 inch by 5 1/4. So you've got that nice little border all the way around. And I tend to choose patterns that are not too fussy. I don't want them to fight with each other. I want to be able to see each one, but I don't want it to be too busy. So I'm just going to squash that onto there. Looks nicely lined up. And then I'm going to close the card up. So my next piece is going to come here. And I've got the piece with just like the Highland Heather of the flowers on. And so that's going to go on there. And I just sort of check, do I like these two papers together? Have I made a mistake and cut the wrong piece? You know, should I have something a bit brighter, a bit more subtle? I think it's easier to check as you're making the card. Because when you're cutting, you think, oh, that's going to look great, that's going to look great. But when you put them together, you might think, that's just a bit, just a bit too busy. Okay, let's find my bone folder again. Squash this on. Got a bit much glue at the top. But I'm just going to get my glue eraser. Just rub that bit off so it doesn't stick onto anything else. There we go. Okay, so that's the front two flaps. Now, for this piece here, you can use another piece of designer series paper. I like to use either the same colour card embossed or an accent colour card. And on my first card, you can see I had garden green for the base and then the mint macaron embossed. And I'm going to use that same embossing folder. And it's this one. It's not quite wide enough, but you can't really tell. You know, it's got a little bit of a gap here, but you can't really tell. If that does bother you, use a bigger embossing folder, so sort of one of these wider ones, and then the whole of your card will be covered. So I've got a piece of Highland Heather, and I've already popped it through the cut and emboss machine. I just put it in here and I ran it straight through. Make sure you use the folded edge to go through first. That's your leading edge. Right, so I've already got that, and that's going to go on here. Now sometimes when you're adding a piece of embossed card, you'll find that the glue doesn't always stick because of all the, all the debossing on this side, all the gaps and everything. So make sure you give it plenty of glue. But I find that the wet glue does work better on this. You can pop tear and tape on as well if that's your preference. But I just find that the wet glue goes into all those little holes and little spaces and sort of pushes it down a bit easier. And I know then that I've got good coverage. Okay, so our card on its close is going to look like that. Now I think that looks quite pretty. I don't think it looks too busy. We've only got the one really patterned paper, but this matches the centres of the flowers, and the Highland Heather matches the colour of the petals. So while that dries, I'm going to make the belly band. Now I wasn't sure when I was cutting whether I wanted it to be on Highland Heather, which would make it like this, or whether I wanted it to be on basic white. Let's have a little peep. I think I quite like it on the Highland Heather. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Highland Heather. So my piece of designer series paper is still a bit too long. So I'm just going to trim that down. Let me find my scissors. Excuse my reach, I am sorry. Okay. So the main card piece is your contrast colour, and this is cut at 1.5 by 9.5, and then my designer series paper, you can see it's this paper, but it's just the back of it, and that's cut at 1.25 by 9.5. And I'm just going to quickly glue it and add it on. You've got just enough of an overlap on this, you've got a little bit extra, so you don't need to worry about whether it's going to fit all the way around or anything. You've got just a nice little overlap. Okay. Now, before I start to make a belly band, I just smooth the card a little bit and just run it through my fingers. Give it a little bit of bend so that it isn't going to crack and it's going to fold over easily. So you can see it's sort of almost, you know, not quite a banana shape, but it's getting there. And then I'm going to take my base card and I'm going to put the designer series paper down and my card on top so that my ends are actually going to meet in the middle. And I'm going to just measure it up on my grid paper just to make sure I've got it straight. And I'm just going to keep folding, just pressing this gently so that it folds over. Don't make it too tight. Don't sort of push it down, really squash it and make it so that it's super duper tight, because then it'd be difficult to get the belly band off. Then you can just go over it with a bone folder. And the same at this side. I don't want it to be tight. I need a little bit of give in it. And I'm just going to check if that's going to go up and down. Oh, yeah, that will go up and down. Okay. And then you just need to attach this together. And you can use any of your glues. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal just for speed here. Now, you can see you've got about roughly an inch that overlaps. So, you know, you've got plenty. Okay. I'm just going to fold it over. Just make sure the top and the bottom are level. And then I'm just going to make sure that it goes up and down still. Yep. Yep, that's perfect. It's not going to drop off and it's not going to be so tight that you can't take the belly band off. Okay. And pop that on one side again. Now, on my first card, you saw that I used one of the Stitch So Sweetly dies and then just cut a piece of the matching card out. I just cut that on my trimmer. But you could use an oval if you have dies or punches. You could use 2 different punch sizes for circles. If you have the layering rectangles or some of the squares that are no longer available, they all work. Whatever shape works best for whichever stamp you want to use. There's no right or wrong stamp to use. I'm actually going to use some from the Stitch So Sweetly set. So this was the die, these rectangles were the ones I used for this, but I'm going to use my favourite 2 in here, which are these 2. I just love how these fit together. I think they make a great shape on any card. I always have this piece as the backing and this piece with my sentiment or with my image on. So they're the 2 I've chosen. I've cut the biggest one in Highland Heather and I've cut basic white for my sentiment, and just choose any sentiment. Because I'm not using a dedicated stamp set for this card, I just chose an image that I knew worked for me. I wanted a thank you card, but if you want a birthday card or something, then you just get whatever you need. The thank you I used was from this Colour and Contour, and I think it's a really nice size. I love the font, and it's a great size even for the front of a card. I'm going to attach that onto here. And the beauty of this set of dies is that you can have it either way around. So I'm going to have it this way. Just let me pop it in. So you can make it so that it's landscape. Or if you have a long sentiment or a long image, you can make it go portrait size. Now let me just find a card. I haven't used it on here, but something like this kind of an image where you would have, the flower and then you could stamp a little sentiment at the bottom. So I use this a lot. It's sort of a versatile one to use. Okay, now I'm just going to get back our main card, and I think that's stuck enough. I'm going to pop it onto the belly band with my dimensionals. And I'm just going to do a whole row of dimensionals across the middle. I like the look of how this is popped up when you put it on dimensionals. Just give it that little bit extra. But it can add to the bulk of the card for mailing. And that's why I was saying earlier, I didn't want to use thicker card because I already have dimensionals and the card is quite thick itself. So I didn't want to be paying extra postage. So I'm just gonna pop that right in the middle. There we go. And I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to decorate, if I wanted to put any gems on or ribbons. So I made both. I've made a ribbon. So I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to use. And I took out these loose flower flourishes, which are in the new catalogue. So, and they've got lots of, they're like resin, like a plasticky resin. Lots of flowers, and I think they're in two sizes. I think there's teeny weeny and the larger. So I've already taken out 2 teeny weeny. I'm sure that's not a precise size, but it's my size. And I've taken one of the bigger ones because I thought it might be quite nice to have the bigger one down here. But I don't know. I'm going to have a little look. Do I want a flower? Or do I want a ribbon? Let's take out another teeny weeny. Because I might have both. Might be greedy and have all 3. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have a ribbon. I'm going to have everything. Why not? So I'm going to find my glue dots. And let's put this little piece of seam binding ribbon on just with the glue dot. Let's squish those glue dots up to make it fit. There we go. And I'm just going to put it right in the middle there. And if you wanted, you could colour the ribbon, of course. Use your blends and colour the ribbon to whatever colour you need. But I quite like the look of the white there, just because the base card is white as well. Now these little things, I presume you could put them on with a glue dot, but I'm going to try just with my wet glue, or even the fine tip glue pen would work. Let's just try the wet glue, and if it doesn't work we'll find something else. Oh, now my glue's dried up. It doesn't take long to form that little seal over the top. Okay, let's see. Might take a minute or 2 to dry as well. This probably would be better with the fine tip glue pen. Okay, let's have a look. I'm going to use another one of the little one. I don't think I'm going to use the big one. I'm going to use another one of the teeny weenies. I'm going to put it just over here. There we are. I like those, they're really pretty. How many do you get? Let's see, 60. So there must be, oh, that lid is really tough. There must be 20 of each colour, just assorted sizes. So you maybe get 10 small and 10 large of each colour. Oh, pretty. Okay, so there's my card for today. My double front fun fold card. And I'll just put the one on that I'd already made. Pop that belly band down. So I hope you enjoyed those cards. I hope you'll give it a go. And if you do, post in the Crafts by the Bow Facebook page, send us a picture, and I'll do a little draw to see who's made one, and we'll pick out for just a little gift in the mail. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. I really do appreciate your support, and I love making these videos. Thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.